Intermediate Planning webinar. Today we'll be going over multi-hybrid planting. First we'll go through our introduction of our agenda, and then we'll hop into Profit Zone Manager and look at the scenario where we're building out multi-hybrid planting scenario and identify possible fields where that can be placed, select zones, work scenarios, and then finally compare ROI. I do want to mention that we are in Q&A mode, so if you have a question, please feel free to type your question inside the chat box where you see my contact information, djbot@agsolver.com or support@agsolver.com, and then you can see my cell phone there, which is 319-238-1978. We'll go ahead and hop into Profit Zone Manager. For this field, minimize that. For this field, we're going to be looking at adding on the multi-hybrid row units to our planner, which is about $1,000 a row. You take that times 24 row planner, 20%, but it comes out to be about $19 an acre. But what we'll do to get started, we're actually going to copy a scenario and mock up 2016 based off of 2014's yield data. So we'll come in, copy scenario. We'll select actual production 2014, the last year that we have data, corn data on this field, and we'll call this 2016 base corn scenario. Click save on that. And what we have just done is created a carbon copy of our actual production scenario and renamed it 2016 base corn scenario. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to model up within our budget according to 2016 input prices along with 2016 commodity prices. So we'll come to the options drop down menu, right in our 2016 base scenario, click edit budget. And for this, we already have our pre-built 2016 corn budget. So we'll use 2016 Lincoln Sanders budget. So we're using commodity price of $3.83, national corn insurance average will come in. Our planter cost is actually $19. Seed cost, we're baselining it, and say we flat rate this field to a double pro at 38,000. Our average seed cost comes to right around $125 an acre. Fertilizer 100, herbicide and insecticide 56, insurance, interest, grain drying, handling, and hauling, land 287, labor, and then we'll go ahead and click save and model up what 2016 can turn into if we produce 167 bushels. And this is really baselining ourselves. So then what we'll do, we'll create multi-hybrid planting scenario off of this scenario. So here's our numbers. On this 26 acre field, lose about $92 an acre. More importantly, lose 2,400 across the board on this relatively small 26 acre field. So what we're going to do next, since we've modeled up what 2016 can turn into, see if there's any questions. We're going to create our scenario based off of multi-hybrid planting. We'll go ahead and click save on this. With this field in particular, today we're going to be looking at, delete that scenario and recreate it. What we'll be looking at is a flexier hybrid compared and right beside a non-flex hybrid. So, and our goal with that flex hybrid is to reduce planting populations, but still produce relatively strong yields, just in case we have a adequate moisture throughout the year. So creating that and basing it off of our 2016 base scenario. Next, what we're going to do is edit our budget for this particular field to represent the increased costs in equipment. So say we added on the expense of the multi-hybrid row units, so that's going to add an additional $19 to our budget. So that comes to $38 just for our increased planter cost. So we're going to save that as of right now. So next, what we're going to do, we're going to start creating zones based off where we're going to have the flex hybrid and then the non-flex hybrid. So what we're going to do now is with multi-hybrid planting scenario, we're going to come in and draw a zone. Within this zone, I'm just going to simply place points around the areas where we're going to want to have that flexier hybrid. And on the east side of this field, this falls into sandy soil type where it's hard, we have a hard time producing a corn crop on this area due to that sandy ground. So, and then in 2014, we planted this area to a population of about 38,000 to a smart stack, and really through the traits at it. So we'll come in and close that zone. So then our zone performance in that area pops up. We'll call this the zone name, flex hybrid. And then population 24,000. And we are going to increase the yield by just a hair due to the fact that by possibly having less plants out there, the plants will have less competition, will increase in yield, and we get adequate moisture. Projected modeling. But our new seed costs now, and bag of seed at cost about $260 a bag, planted at a population of 24,000. That brings us down to seed cost of $78. So we'll come down, click save. It's recalculating the performance on that area. And then next we're going to add our zone of the non-flex hybrid planted to a population of 38,000 because we're just trying to free up working capital to reinvest it in the most profitable areas of the field and really push that area. We'll come in, click on our polygon drawing tool, and then draw the rest of the field. And then connect our last point to our first point. Pulls up that zone. Name this zone non-flex hybrid population 38. I'm going to increase yield by 5% again. So we're going to be upping the planting populations. Our adjusted machinery cost is in there. Seed cost is now shifted, and actually it's at our seed cost of $125 an acre. So, and that's figuring seed cost of a bag at $264. Divide that by 80 for 80,000 seeds per bag, and then take that times 38,000, and that's how we get our seed cost for this particular field. Or excuse me, for this particular hybrid. Let's save that zone. So what we're going to do now is, once we've completed both of our zones, we're going to come in and click on our options drop down menu right beside our field name where you see compare scenarios. We'll pull that up. So on the left hand side we'll have our base corn scenario where we flat rated the population along with only planted one hybrid in this field, comparing to our multi-hybrid in varying planting populations. So in this particular cell, you can see that we increased yield, did the 8 bushel increase, or 5%. We increased or decreased, our profit loss. So instead of losing $92 an acre, we now are only losing $53 an acre. We went from losing 12.5% return on investment to now about negative 7.5%. We increased our production efficiency by about 11-12 bushels per $1,000 spent. We were able to decrease our acreage opportunity ratio. We decreased our working capital opportunity by about $2,000, decreased our break-even commodity price, and instead of losing $2,400 on this entire field, we cut that by about $1,000. So we can come in and say, you know what, we went ahead and installed the multi-hybrid units on our planter. So we can come back up to our base corn scenario and we'll add and edit our budget to represent that additional cost. Say we didn't use that capability, but we paid for it. Bring that up to $38. Adjust our performance on our base scenario, come back to our compare scenarios. and then we'll look at our 2016 base scenario compared to our multi-hybrid to even up the numbers. So you can see how that area affects the business performance. So instead of losing $111 now, we're only losing $53. So if we decided to make that equipment upgrade and then actually put that LG to use. So now we'll open the floor up for any questions anyone might have regarding this scenario. So I do want to mention that this scenario will be posted on to our AgSolver YouTube page once this is completed. So you can go back and rewatch this webinar. Also, you have my contact information below there, along with my cell phone email. So going back to Profit Zone Manager, we can actually also print this page. So at the top right hand corner, you see the green print button. We can select that. And then we can save this to either print this or save this as a PDF. So, and it has the profitability maps and the side-by-side financial performance of this field, along with our acreage histogram at the bottom there. So it's a nice one-page handout that you can have a conversation over the truck hood with. So if there's no more questions, I want to thank everyone for joining our September 7th intermediate planning webinar reviewing multi-hybrid planting. And please, if you have any, feel free to reach out to me. We can set up a webinar to create this very scenario on your own fields. And with this scenario in particular, what we've done, because we were looking at adding multi-hybrid capability to our planner, and then we ran this scenario on all of our fields. Some fields are variable, other fields aren't. Some fields it will have more of an economic payback, and with this scenario, we are accounting for 100% of that cost in year 2016 in terms of upgrading technology on our planner. What we could also have done is amortize out over 2 or 3 years to even up the cost. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you next week.